Welcome to Electric Liberty Land, here on the Lions of Liberty podcast, your weekly shot of culture, comedy, and liberty with your host, Brian McWilliams.
All right. I am here. Gives me the great pleasure to introduce our audience out here for this Nittany special episode to a man who's become one of our favorite, not only patrons, not only listeners, but friends. A true titan among men, some could say. The one and the only Maurice Jones. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? I'm excited to be doing this. I'm excited to support this amazing podcast and everything that you guys are doing. There's a reason why I'm behind all of it. So I'm glad that you call me a titan in all this, and I'm glad to call you a friend as well.
Hell yeah, man. Well, you know, it's funny about these shows, right? So at first, you know, you were like, it's your turn to pick the show topic, and you're like, all right, let's do, vaccine passports.
Right.
And I was like, all right, cool, we'll roll with that. But then I don't know if it was peer pressure that got it started from some of the other Pride members, but this documentary came out called SASQUATCH, and I think appropriately you were like, okay, you guys are probably going to all agree on the vaccine passport. Right. So yeah, take me through the thought process there and any internal battles you had with yourself and changing topics midstream.
It was so when I first thought, I was like, COVID vaccine passports from a private business standpoint. So not anything that the government is enforcing, but if private businesses wanted to enforce this without the arm of the government, then I was like, oh, that'd be an interesting topic to discuss. But as like more and more weeks went by, and I was just like, I feel like everybody's going to be on the same page. And then you posted a Sasquatch thing. And I literally, like a few weeks prior, had a conversation with my with my wife's aunts, and they were talking about how they believe in Sasquatch and so forth. I was like, oh, this is a perfect time to switch over. Like,
what part of the country do the ants live in? That's because you're in Texas. I know that.
Yep,
are there squatches in Texas?
No, there aren't. They don't have a place to live. Exactly. That we love them because they're barely any trees in Texas. So, but no, they're maybe 10 minutes from my house. So they're in Texas as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was like, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's watch this little series.
What about you, man? What's your Squatch sense? Is it tingle? Does it Squatch sense tingle?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. When I watch it, I'm like, like maybe there's some truth to it, but maybe there's not. I don't know. I'm a skeptic about everything. So if people believe it, I'm like, maybe I do believe it. Maybe I don't. But let me do some more research on it or whatnot. And this documentary, part of my research.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what's funny is you're a skeptic. I'm also pretty much skeptic, but Howie, who's going to be on the review of this, is the most unskeptical person. He'll research stuff, but he wants to believe. He's like Fox Mulder on the X-Files. He wants to believe.
Yes. And when you guys mentioned Howie was going to be on it, I was like, perfect. That is the, I was like, Howie on it is great. Perfect. I want to hear his insight on all of this.
Yeah. If he wasn't on, what would be the point?
Exactly.
What would be the point? And this documentary, I won't get into it here since this is the preamble, but it definitely takes a turn. That it was like, I don't know if I was happy or sad about it, but it definitely became interesting. I'll leave it at that until we get into it. So anyway, Maurice, you're the fucking man. I've decided that now on we will call you Mojo. I don't know why people haven't been calling you Mojo.
I'm all for it. Or people call me the notorious BLG, the notorious Black Liberty guy. So I'm cool with that too.
See, this is all part of Maurice's. We were joking about this because he's also on our Mufasa level calls we do with people. We were joking that this is all part of his plan to build a podcasting empire that's going to eventually overtake Lions of Liberty from the inside.
Yes.
So, yes. Well, bring it on, man. Action. We're a meritocracy here. If you earn it, you take it. You take what's yours.
I'm all for it. It's mine. I must grab it. Grab the bull by the horns. Let's make it happen.
All right, man. Grab the Squatch by the foreskin. All right, buddy. Well, love you. Thank you for the support, and I hope you like the show.
Sounds good. Thank you.
There you go. That was Maurice. And you guys can also be a part of the show in the same way. If you go to patreon.com/Lions of Liberty, if you join at that $50 or up level, you get to influence the show. You get to pick a topic. I mean, you don't get to do it like the first month you join in. You got to wait a little bit in the queue, guys, because, we're very popular. But you can pick your own show, and you might be my best friend. All right, let's get into the show proper. There he is, just in time for the show. It's a Howie Snow. Done.
I thought this was 8:30. Because I care so much, so I just stopped halfway through eating dinner to come down and do this.
Wait, what? You eat dinner at 8 o'clock at night?
Yeah,
we
man.
normally eat about then. Yeah.
My
Really?
wife doesn't
Jeez,
get, my wife doesn't get done working till later, and I got to wait till her to make the food.
Oh, like a true man, like a true squatch of the woods. Well, it says that we eat literally. My wife and I eat so early. Like most week at dinner right now for the kid, and we usually eat at like 5:30, and then we're in bed by 7:30. So I would be asleep by the time this podcast is happening your time.
You're in bed by 7:30? Wait, what?
Maybe 8 o'clock, maybe 8.
Dude, I got
Tired,
to sleep,
man.
sleep at like
Jeez.
1:30 last night. Then I'm up at 5.
Oh God! See,
I go to sleep at 1 a.m.
That was because of allergies. I didn't want to be. I couldn't sleep. I finally took half a Benadryl, and it was awful. I couldn't even use my pillow because of the allergies. It was too soft. I had to get a thicker pillow so I could prop myself up.
I had to buy the David Hogg replacement pillow because I couldn't use the My Pillow.
Well, I mean, I should have gotten the more sturdy one, but I didn't.
Dude, the secret to allergies, you need to find a bee, somebody who raises bees, like right by you. You buy some local honey off them. Take the local honey every day, spoonful of it. Your allergies will be gone in a week.
I'll do that.
Maybe actually that makes sense, I guess, because the bees are in all the trees and the pollens. They're out fucking the flowers, and then they eat the pollen, and then the pollen's got like the pollen antibodies in it.
Could I just go outside?
Vaccinate your children with pollen is what I'm saying, people.
Could I just go outside and like scrape the pollen off of our flowers and stuff and like put it in my mouth?
Snort it.
That'd be
Howie, what are you doing?
opposite.
Your wife comes home and you're just snorting big lines, and you're like, "Honey, it's not anything. It's pollen from allergies."
Build up a tolerance here.
Or you just go outside and just start eating bees. That would be good too. Just sort of running with my mouth open, eating bees locally. Because I have allergies too. I'm always fucking stuffed up and my nose running.
So I also last night, I forgot we're doing this. So I watched 2 of the Sasquatch episodes, then I had to stop. I watched Joe Biden's ridiculous speech, and then I watched the 3rd Sasquatch episode.
I didn't see his speech. Was it just absurd? Like what happened in it?
I mean, it was... So first of all, they had not that many people there. They're all spread out wearing masks, and every goddamn one of them was vaccinated.
Of course.
And then Biden gets up to speak. He takes off his mask for the speech. But according to Pelosi's rules, that's a $500 fine. Everybody in Congress, if you're in on the floor, you have to have a mask on, even if you're speaking.
It'd be hilarious if some Ukrainian businessman came out and was like, "I will take care of his fine."
Yeah. But Sasquatch was much better than Biden's speech. The only thing good Biden ever did I enjoyed watching was when he fell up those stairs. That brought me so much joy.
Oh my God.
I must have watched it 10,000 times.
What are the odds that they somehow figure out, those like slow motion chairs that lift old people up stairwells? What if they install one of those on Air Force One just for him?
There's already a meme of that.
I've seen that. Well, that's what you get for jogging up carpeted stairs when you're freaking 78.
In loafers too. Like, it's like slick bottom, like fancy shoes.
One of the memes I liked, he was already like down on the stairs and like standing up above the stairs. It was Jesus like whipping him.
All right, so let's get into Squatch. I talked to Maurice. You guys heard. Well, you guys didn't hear it, but I'm going to play it at the start of the show. But this was a funny thing because halfway through, he's like, he's decided to switch streams, right? From us talking about vaccine passports, which he was like, you all would agreed on that. That's no fun. To us talking about the squatchiness. And what's funny about this is, as we'll get into, it needs more Squatch. It was like my dog back
number one complaint.
Number one complaint needs more Squatch. Not enough Squatch.
Well, the first episode was by far the best because it had the most Squatch by far.
Before we get into it, can I give a little preface for the listeners?
Of course.
Okay, so I just realized yesterday, like, oh yeah, I got to watch this. So I find out, like, well, how do I watch it? It's on Hulu. I turn on my Apple TV. I go to the Hulu app. It's like, okay, at least I could get like a 3-month trial. I have to start filling in my information. So like I scroll over, go to capital, put the capital H, then I like scroll down. This is taking a little bit of time. So I hit the like lowercase letters. I'm going over to the O and I see the H disappear. and then my name starts filling itself out, and it says Satan. I'm like, what? What the fuck is going on here?
I don't remember giving Satan my password. That was a part of the deal, Satan.
So I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, am I being hacked? Then I'm like, is this simulation fucking with me? Then I'm like, maybe Mark's right. Maybe I am the devil. And then, so anyways, this is going on. And I was going to watch this while my wife was still working. Then she comes down and I'm like, hon, you can't believe this has happened. This is so weird. And I start telling her the story and she starts laughing. Apparently on her phone, when I was operating the Apple TV, it popped up and she could type shit in. So she was the one typing in Satan for the name. And I was like, I didn't suspect her at all.
That's
But anyways,
ridiculous.
I just wanted to tell that story. Now we can get into the show.
Clever girl. Yeah. So getting into it, just starting off, the whole thing, it starts off, I mean, it's got very interesting animation quality, right? It starts off with this guy, David Holthouse, who is a quote unquote investigative journalist who looks like Joaquin Phoenix melded with a current day Elliot from E.T.
Well,
Like,
I would say this too about him. He looks so incredibly different depending on the camera angle. Like in the early shots when he's sitting there, he has long hair the whole time, but all you can see is his face. He looks like he's relatively fit, maybe not super old. And then it's like you see a picture of his like full body, and he's just completely, a piece of shit, overweight.
Dude, he looked very different when they showed some older things. When he was talking about being an investigative journalist, and he comes out like he infiltrated these white supremacist groups. And he was like a skinhead with his head shaved, and he was in like he infiltrated like different gangs were fighting each other. It's like, what is wrong with this dude?
Well, here's the question. Does all of his investigative journalism, wherever it turns out, right? Murder cases, white supremacy cases, does he start them all as Sasquatch investigations? He's like, I don't know what the fuck's happening, man. I go in to find a Sasquatch. I'm exposing white nationalists. I was a black man for several months. Started with the Sasquatch, though.
Well,
Dude, for so much
I'd like
of this,
to know is so he does all that stuff, right? He's investigating the gangs and the white supremacists, but he waits till now to look into this crime that he heard about in 1993. Why the fuck would you wait? This should have been the first thing you did. Like, why did he wait so long?
Well,
Was
wait,
he
wasn't
probably
he?
afraid?
Wait, he was in. Well, let's get into it because he was in there. And also, but by the way, before we start, the animation in this is hilarious. Like they had these animated credits, and it looked like you ever see spoon or salad fingers. It was like this creepy old animation where this guy was like, "I like to lick spoons." Terrifying animation. But it was just the weirdest, shittiest animation I've ever seen in this fucking documentary. All through it.
I didn't like it, and it was because it started off with that, and I was like, "Oh God, please don't let this whole thing just be this animated like nonsense."
Right, exactly.
And then when they showed me real people, I was like, "Oh, yes."
And it was like these horrible cutaways. I just like, God damn! If they could animate that, Do Nothing Man will look better than that animation. That much I can promise you.
So I think I have an answer to your question, Odie. Because at first when he's like telling this, and then this is what he's doing now, I'm like, why the fuck would you take something that some like meth head said seriously? And I think apparently he didn't. Maybe he needed some money. He's like, maybe I can make some money off of a documentary on this.
Yeah,
this old story that I probably didn't believe when I heard
about it. This clever bastard. Obviously. Well, okay, so let's get from the start, right? So this guy's working on a weed farm when he's young, him and this other dude, and they're hanging around, right? And he is
not just any weed farm. This is like the center of weed in the United States.
Yeah, Humboldt County.
Yeah, Humboldt County.
Which my wife has a relative up there who...
Mendocino County.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, he works on a pot farm up there. And so... Yeah, exactly. It's the nexus of pot in America, basically. But these guys are working on a pot farm back in the 70s, right? And he said
93.
93. So he's sitting there, and they're working on this pot farm. He goes, and out of the woods, we have people throwing rocks and taking runs at us out of the woods. We can't see them coming. They're just trying to intimidate us and running at us. And then
he heard stories about it. He didn't see
stories.
it.
He didn't see it.
Stories.
I thought people were running at him.
No. He's like, they were telling me these stories. He's like, were they fucking with me? Like, I don't know.
Okay, because then he's saying they hear the weeds all ripped up. They hear there's blood on the weed leaves, and he's like, and some meth head, like you were talking about, comes in and goes, "I'm telling you, Bigfoot killed these guys," and we find out that 3 Mexicans were apparently killed by Bigfoot.
And not only the fact that you heard the story from meth heads, but they didn't even see the Sasquatch. They just assumed that's what happened.
Based on how torn up the bodies were.
Right. Based on it looked like something like that happened.
Because it was like the top of the weed was like cut off. None of it was taken. So it was like, obviously it wasn't it was stealing the weed.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't like a thievery smash and grab or slash and grab. But
at first, though, when he was telling those stories about like they were telling them like that the Sasquatch, they would like charge like fake bluff or like throw stuff. And I was thinking like nobody would be dressing up and pretending to do that because all these guys have like AR-15s. Like you would be shot. Like that would be a really bad like thing to pretend to do. So at first I'm like, maybe there's something to this because no one would be like doing this stuff to people with AR-15s.
Well, what was funny about this documentary too is that he's like, oh, well, some of the audio has been reproduced from stories, right? So they have the 2 guys telling the story about Sasquatch in the first episode, right, which is the heavy Squatch episode. And they both do the same story about Squatches coming in and ripping these guys apart, right? But it's all reproduced audio done by actors. And I'm like, how could you have a documentary where all the audio's reproduced? That just means you're writing the fucking audio. You're writing
I don't think it all.
It's just a story, though. I mean, it's just audio to tell a story.
Some of the audio phone calls and things are so terrible. I'm like, if this is reproduced, I am.
They
pissed.
were. They're all reproduced.
Those ones that sounded like horrible were reproduced.
Yeah, some you couldn't know. Those weren't reproduced, but where you couldn't understand what they were saying. Like I could not understand a word.
If you reproduce it, at least make it
later
crystal clear.
Yeah, later on when you get into the mystery man of the woods, the real Squatch, then those are real recordings. But all right, so getting farther along, they do a bunch of interviews with people around the area about Sasquatches, which are all fucking hilarious, by the way. Molly Sinaway, some hippie that was probably real hot when she was young. Funniest thing she said was that we ended Vietnam, the hippies. She thinks the hippies ended Vietnam and not the Viet Cong, killing us. So that was pretty funny.
I don't know. Little of both. Maybe.
I don't think the hippies had a goddamn thing to do with any Vietnam person.
Didn't hurt.
I wasn't around. Couldn't tell you.
I wasn't either. All right. But then I love this. There's also this other guy. There's a guy named Ghost, right? Who is like an old hippie with dank ass teeth from smoking the weed.
Ghost Walker or something.
Yeah, Ghost Walker. And then I can't remember if it was Ghost or the other guy that said this, but he goes, they say that the Sasquatch, he kind of reminds me of the guy in Big Lebowski that sits at the bar, right? That's a ghost dog or ghost, whatever reminded me of. But he goes, they say there's a sweet, musky smell you can smell in the air when she's in her moon cycle looking for love.
Yeah.
The Bigfoot.
There were so many points where different characters called Bigfoot like a she, a her, she might have been. And it's like, where are you getting that from? How do you know if it's a female Sasquatch?
Is it like identifying chicks? Like chicken chicks that it's such a talent to identify if it's a male or female. It's probably the same with Sasquatches. Hard to tell with all that fur and walking.
It's just like, if it wasn't a female, I wouldn't be attracted to it. Is that their rationale? I don't know.
Why else would I be hard right now?
Would you argue with this?
Would I be rock hard if it wasn't a female Sasquatch?
These 2 guys are awesome too in the first episode. Georges and Wayne, Sasquatch hunters / life partners is how they were Chiron on the bottom.
Immediately they start bickering at each other about what they think about the Sasquatch.
About the abilities of the Squatch. And one guy thinks he can teleport.
That's the second biggest problem with this thing is one, not enough Squatch. 2, not enough gay Squatch hunters.
Not enough gay. Like I wanted the entire documentary to be gay
I
Squatch
thought
hunters.
it was. I thought it was. I was so disappointed when it wasn't.
Yeah, this documentary really let us all down. For sure.
Do we know any gay Squatch hunters?
Well, I thought you were for a long time, but Apparently not.
No.
When you disappeared into the woods at Porkfest for about 3 hours, I was like, well, Howie's gone gay squatch hunting. He's got that boner again. Again, most of the first episode was awesome because it was so ridiculous. The other guy, there's the one guy who looks like Scott Adams with who had, as I said, BPTSD or Bigfoot PTSD. Do you remember that guy who's just sitting in his car crying because of Bigfoot?
Oh yeah.
Are you talking about the cop?
No.
No.
This guy, he was such a bitch.
He was an ex-cop.
Oh, was he?
He's in his car and he's telling the story. He's like, I was down by the river, and I see this thing covered in dreadlocks, and the smell. I know if I didn't get out of there,
He's like,
I would have had to come in my pants.
He's like, this was the only time I've ever been so afraid. I felt like Maury Povich should come out and be like, the lie detector says this is a lie. You're a big fat pussy. If you're crying in the car because you saw an animal that stunk, like
your first girlfriend says that you also cried like a bitch when you tried to have sex the first time. True or false? Yeah, that guy was a fucking jerk off. And then also, West Virginia hat guy. I don't know. That's all the description I have. Yeah, he never blinked or moved his mouth more than an inch.
I don't know if I recall this guy.
He's the guy that talked about he was bluff charged by a Sasquatch.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, is this the guy who, like, when the one dude says it was him in a costume, then he's like, I don't believe it. It wasn't him in a costume.
No, that's like the legendary. That's like the legendary video, like the one with the Sasquatch like turning and looking.
I didn't know someone was claiming to have been a person in the costume.
I didn't know that either. I've never heard it. Well, clearly, Big Squatch is stomping down these truths. You don't want to cross Big Squatch, or else that's how you get killed in the woods.
So, do you think the guy who said he was in a costume was in the costume?
No,
I don't think so.
Doesn't look like it.
I think so.
But I mean, the guy who didn't believe it said that dude's like 5'8", 5'9". That wasn't him. And like,
maybe he was in heels.
He's got a point. I don't know.
True.
Where did he get the costume? I don't know.
Yeah, why doesn't he just show the costume? Like if he's making this claim, he's got to produce some evidence.
Are we to believe this guy has literally lived his life off of the Squatch legend of the video that he took, right? I'm sure the other guy and he were like, all right, let's make this Squatch costume and go out and film this shit. And then one guy goes, yeah, that was me in the costume. And the other guy doesn't want to go along with it. Of course you're going to explain it away.
So I don't know if you guys found this as funny as I did. Probably not, because I don't know why this made me laugh so hard. But the one dude, the guy who didn't believe the guy was in the costume is like, oh yeah, he's my neighbor. He's like, I wave to him sometimes. Then they cut to the other guy. He's like, he won't even talk to me. He won't even look at me. And then the wife's like, then his wife like yells from off camera. He's like, he's waved a couple times. Like, well, I guess he's waved a couple times.
he's waved a couple times, but he won't look. But he waves like this. He walks like Bigfoot. And he just kind of waves like that.
Oh, that's what he should do. he just walks by, then he just turns and
gives him a little wave like a Bigfoot.
I do think, now that you bring it up, a Bigfoot turning like that's more of a human turn.
It was
I think a Bigfoot would turn like that.
Yeah, and it's just it kind of turns like, okay, give him what he needs. Yeah, get out of here.
So Brian, you're in Los Angeles, right?
Yes, I am.
You didn't know Brian
only said it.
No.
I've only been here 20 years.
Well, I know you're not in that part of California. So I know I'm from Pennsylvania and I live in Virginia now, but I've never seen forest like that. Like so much forest.
Really?
Because like everywhere I've seen in my life, it's like there's no way there could be a Bigfoot and no one like find it or see it.
You ever drive to Penn State when you were in school?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's all forest. It's surrounded by forest.
It looked a lot more impressive in this thing.
I don't know. Look, people. I don't think people realize just how much forest land is out there. Like you hear about all this shit about how there's no land and eco-conservatism, all this shit. There is a vast amount of forest in a lot of places. I mean, hundreds of miles of forest in a lot of places. So yeah, there could be a Squatch. Let's get it. Howie, are you a Squatch believer?
I don't have any reason to believe it. I'm kind of skeptical. I feel like we would know, or somebody would have killed one and brought one out. But then
Right.
again, I think I maybe don't grasp the extent of like unexplored forest land in America and all over. So I don't know. I'm not ruling it out, but if it's so Brian walked away. He's not hearing anything I'm saying. But
I'm listening.
he
God
can
damn
still
it! I had to
hear.
let my dog. My dog's being annoying as shit behind me. I had to get him out of the fucking room.
if it's like a flesh and blood beast, I think if it's still existed, we would know for sure. But if it's some kind of like interdimensional being, now that's another story.
Now you're getting into gay Squatch Hunter territory.
Yeah. I mean,
Are
if
you
this
saying
thing
that
exists,
Sasquatch is a magical interdimensional being that warps into our timeline to wave at cameras and then warps out of it again?
I'm saying that
Could be that, or could be live in the Hollow Earth. I don't know.
if it exists.
Oh.
Oh, that's a very good point too.
Hollow Earth dwellers that pop up to make our day. How funny would it be if Sasquatches were hyper intelligent beings from another planet that came down, stripped down nude just to fuck with us? Like, I'm gonna go walk around down there all hairy and fuck with these idiots.
Well, that's the thing. I was wondering that because, like, if they were intelligent, it'd be like, oh, let's fuck with a bunch of meth heads and stoners. No one will believe it.
Exactly.
No one will believe anything they say. But like, they like stay away from like reasonable, normal humans.
That's why aliens always take the drunks and the meth heads.
Exactly. It's always the hippies high on shrooms on the tops of buildings in the mesa.
But the
all right,
one guy had a terrible argument justifying for Sasquatch when he goes like, well, I think in Utah there's probably about 300 Sasquatch. You never see them, and there's probably 1,000 black bear. Well, you never see any black bear either. It's like, where's black bear all the time? There's black bear
We
coming
have
to
them
my
in zoos.
neighborhood.
No,
Like,
no,
it's
no,
always-
We have them in zoos. It's not hard to find them.
He said, how many times do you come upon a black bear corpse? I could say in my experience, not once.
It's because they get
Me neither.
They're fine. It's 'cause
Then
somebody's
again,
eating
how
them.
many? I could say I've never come across a human's corpse either. So I mean,
Thank
now
I
I know you
haven't. I haven't either.
yes, you have. Your face.
Not in the wild.
Not any that I haven't finger banged when my parents were out of the room.
Not in the forest. But actually, yeah, that brings up. I always tell people like you don't have to worry about black bears because like if they see you, they're gonna act like they owe you money and take off.
Booyah!
Aren't there different types of black bears though? Like I know there's like the northeastern black bear, which is like they don't want to fuck with you. But aren't there ones like out west and up in Canada that will fuck you up?
I'm not.
I don't know. All I know is
I
sun
don't know.
bears wave at you. At least the one in the zoo does.
What's a sun bear? What's a sun bear?
I'm not talking about
It's
grizzlies
cool.
either.
It kind of looks like a black bear, but it's got a like an orangey snout and paws. And the one at the San Diego Zoo waves at you. It's adorable. He's like, "Hello," and then you wave back, and it's fun. You feel like you made a human connection.
It's just a
Yeah, it's
dead
pretty
bear, and they got a guy behind just holding up the arm.
It's a weekend at Sun Bears. All right, moving on.
So
We gotta get
none
through this.
of us think that they're Sasquatch.
No,
I mean, I
don't
kind
think
of
there
lean
is.
towards there is so much unexplored land that I mean, there could be some shit out there we haven't discovered yet. I think it's more likely there's demons or things like that are around than a actual Sasquatch.
Well, if you believe in demons, you believe in Sasquatch because a demon
Exactly,
can become a
yeah.
Sasquatch or animate a bear corpse to be a Sasquatch. So
Indeed.
Odie is pro Sasquatch. You're a
Why-
Sasquatcher.
I do believe in demons, so I guess if that's the rationale, then
All right, well, you're both Squatchers. On the other hand, I believe in the Loch Ness Monster, but not in Sasquatch.
I thought the Loch Ness Monster turned out to be like a whale penis.
That just was sticking out of the water all the time?
Can you elaborate on
they
that?
like go like woo, and it was just like somebody thing. Apparently, some like pictures that people talking like, oh, it's the Loch Ness Monster. It was like a whale penis.
No, I don't believe in the Loch Ness Monster either. But I will say, I believe for sure that there is crazy shit in the depths of the ocean that we've not seen
yeah.
that is probably more like the Loch Ness Monster than we like to think.
For
Oh,
sure.
yeah, 100%.
And I think if the Sasquatch thing is real, I think it's more likely that it was. It isn't anymore. But I mean, Odie, you really threw me for a loop. Bring up the Hollow Earth thing. I never really thought about that. If there are ways in and out from America, which I don't know, maybe there are. Maybe
Didn't
there
you
aren't.
guys do a whole conspiracy corner on Hollow Earth?
Yeah, see, we always think like the entrance is in Antarctica, but who knows? Maybe there's other ways in and out.
Is that why the Russians want it?
Probably.
Those
But
fucking Hollow Earth. God,
if
we
that's the
can't let the
case,
Russians. Biden
I mean-
is right to ramp up the war on the Russians. We can't let those Ruskies get control of Hollow Earth.
so I'm not ruling anything out, but if I were to bet, like, does Sasquatch exist right now, put some money on it, I'd say no.
Oh,
At least,
Sasquatch,
at
like,
least not. At least not in
Sasquatch
2021.
as advertised, like on this show, I don't think they exist in that way. Like,
In 2021, year of our Lord, no. Maybe in
Well,
the past.
Let's talk about how this gets away from Sasquatch.
Yeah, episode 2. My least
Yep.
favorite episode.
Yeah, it takes away. I mean, they get into the dope wars, which, by the way, they talk about like the fucking booby traps these hippies set up recently because like they're protecting their land from poachers and like drug gangs, like Mexicans coming up and taking over their land and how about the crazy shit like Mexican workers coming up and taking advantage of the old hippies and just being like murdering them and taking over the drug farms.
didn't
and
even
saying
say
they were
that.
sick.
It just said they came up and they were like, "Oh, this is ours now."
Dude,
Maybe they
What,
were-
are they just letting them
Speaking-
live? They're letting
speaking
them
of-
live there anyway. You're going to take over the drug farm. You're definitely snapping a neck.
Probably.
Speaking of the booby traps, it's
Blame it
not,
on some big
not
folk.
that this is that life threatening or anything, but they would hang fish hooks at eye level. It's like, oh,
Ugh.
that's evil.
Ugh.
Oh,
Can
I'm
you
gonna walk
imagine?
in. You're gonna walk into a fish hook in my eye.
What would you do at that point? Do you just keep running and just hope for the best? Hope it rips through?
There was another documentary,
No.
which I swear a lot of the footage from this one, especially like showing like back in the drug war days of the 90s, you know, flying in, you know, like a occupying military force, chopping down pot plants, that
Oh,
was
yeah.
taken from a doc. It looked exactly the same, which is an awesome documentary series called Murder Mountain, which is about the same thing.
Same region. Yeah, it's the same
about
exact
the same
thing.
exact region, and might be talking about the same exact area in the region.
It is. It
But
is.
that's a freaking ridiculous documentary too.
I'm sure.
you
Well, like
guys
these ATF agents, like the one guy is just jerking himself off talking about how
no,
great it was.
no. Camp. Have
What?
you guys heard of this camp group before?
Yeah.
It wasn't
not
the ATF.
before
It was camp. They were called.
Oh,
What
I
did it
thought they were
stand
part
for?
of ATF.
Oh, were
Remember-
they? I don't
Remember what it
remember.
stood for? Camp.
No. Oh, it's every time they came on and started talking, I was like, "Fuck you."
Yeah. Yeah, they're fucking bastards. It was like a special task force to come in and fucking blast out the... it was probably Cocksuckers Against Marijuana Fields is what I'm sure it stood for. But yeah, they would come in with like same thing
Yeah.
with helicopters and they'd burn shit down and they just like they loved it. They fucking loved it. This guy talking about it.
Shoot people's dogs.
Yeah, fucking shoot everybody's dogs.
Because
And then they're, like,
originally,
talking about the booby traps. I'm like, good. I hope you get booby trapped to shit, you motherfucker. Hope your leg get blown off.
originally what it was up there was just a bunch of hippies who wanted to grow pot, garden, live off the land. And they fucking came in, and what caused like everything to go to shit and caused all this violence, obviously, is the cops coming in and fucking
Yep.
shit up.
So
That's
I've
the
got-
libertarian theme, Odie, that I
Yeah.
promised in this episode because it really shows you the black market response and how these fucking peace-loving people became unbelievably violent because of the black market that was forced.
Yeah, I've got a question for you guys though, because something kind of threw me for a loop was when the one dude said that when marijuana became legal, that the violence like escalated 100.
escalated. Yeah.
Do you
Well, I'm
guys think
sure it
that's-
did because
Is that
I
because
think-
there's the black market still and the regulated market? It's still
Yeah.
because of government regulations.
Yes, 100%. Because that's the thing is now you have such high costs put on this marketplace, but you're still trying to run a profitable operation. And at the same time, now you probably have more people coming in because you have more places to sell it. You can now sell it legally, so you probably have twice as many people coming at you. But no, I believe it's 100% government regulation.
And the
Okay.
amount of paperwork, like I know in California, probably lots of places to grow legally is just so absurd to get it set up. A lot of people, it's not even worth doing it. It's better just to risk, getting caught and selling in the black market.
Right.
So-
Oh,
so-
dude, 100%. Everybody I know in California, except the tourists go to buy weed at like Mad Men and the other shit. Everybody else just gets it off their fucking dealer because it's half the price.
So in Virginia, it's legal on like July 1st, but you
Yeah.
can't like sell it or buy it for like a few years still, but you could grow your own. Like, how the fuck's that supposed to work?
It doesn't.
Growing your
All right,
own,
let's
growing your own's easy. but-
Well, yeah, but I mean, come on, who's going to do that?
Well, in California, you're allowed to grow so X number of plants, but if you grow too many, they can come and fucking
Yeah,
bust
this is
you
you
and
could,
throw
you
you in
could
jail
grow
for
like
20 years.
4 plants or something. But I guess,
Yeah.
do they expect people just to go to DC and buy it and then bring it back? I don't know.
I don't know. Pennsylvania's never going to be legal because we have a freaking bullshit Democratic governor now, Tom Wolf, who's a tyrant.
I thought it's legal there now.
Medical is.
Oh,
So he's going to get voted out.
Because my aunt takes it. Medical.
Yeah,
All
he'll
right,
get
getting
he'll
back
get
on
voted
target.
out before it
Getting
can get
back-
legalized.
Get
And the
back
Republicans
on
aren't going to
target.
freaking legalize it.
Get back on target. I got to keep this thing to a reasonable length here. So let's get back on this shit. Out of nowhere, somebody raped David Holthouse. That was an interesting revelation. Remember that? He's just like, well, so, blah, blah, blah. And then I was raped as a boy. Like,
Well, yeah.
what the hell does that have to do with
It
anything?
explains so much. No, it did. It did.
It actually does
Because
explain a lot.
all these things, I'm like, how the fuck would you do that? That's like, as soon as I got that call from the investigator said, like, your life's in danger, I'd be like, yeah, I'm out. Peace. Fuck this. And he's like, yeah, sometimes when you're abused like that, you like have a low self-esteem. You don't care about yourself if you live or die. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's really dark. But
Seems
that's why
like he's a loner.
exceptionally
Like,
dark.
he seems like he doesn't have a family. I don't know. Maybe he
No,
doesn't want to show
yeah.
his family. But
well,
Well, I
mean,
think there's a reason he lives up in that region. And clearly, yeah, he doesn't have a family. He likes to be alone, or he is forced to be alone because he's intolerable. One or the other.
he's older than us, right? Much older than us.
He's
right?
probably
dude, he's
about
at least like 60, I think.
60?
Yeah.
No.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's probably 55. That's my guess.
All right.
Anyway, getting back to the show. So Ghost Dance, that's it. Ghost Dance, the old crustball. He said, these peace-loving collectivist hippies in North Cal actually hate immigrants and are insanely racist, right?
I believe it.
And and he said, like, even at some point, 2 black guys who are working up there got murdered up in the mountains who are from Los Angeles. They got killed up good. This one guy, this one short-haired weirdo is trying to be super woke. And he's like, I got outworked by immigrants and I can't fault them for making a living. And then he just starts smacking his leather chair real hard. And I was like, oh, that guy definitely killed some Mexicans.
I did't believe him when he was saying that stuff.
No.
At all.
He's like,
I must have
they're
missed that.
great people. God, they outworked me. He's like punching the ground. Jesus, you Mexican killing Sasquatch.
Was he doing that because he was joking, or why was he slapping his
No,
chair?
I don't know. It was fake.
It was very awkward. That guy was trying so hard to come across as like a woke fucking super cool hippie guy, and it just came across as ultra fake. I just said he's a liar excited to be on camera.
Is this the episode where he meets the dude in the car? They drive up out into like the wilderness, and the guy's like, "This is great murdering country. People just disappear up here."
Not yet.
Oh,
yet.
sorry,
Hold on.
sorry.
Let me run through a couple of quick things.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, you're right. It was in this episode because it was a confidential source off camera. So, all right, a couple of quick things is funny. He tells a story about, I called him Scrooge Meth Duck of weed, a guy who grew a bunch of weed and had a bunker and then just did a bunch of meth and dove around in his money and then died. Scrooge Meth Duck. And also Toothless and Ruthless. Great turn of phrase, Holt.
Yeah, that was good.
The story, because all these people end up on meth, basically, because they're harvesting the weed on this high source. So, yeah, to Howie's point, this guy's like, yeah, this is great killing country, and he's showing them around. I wrote, is Bigfoot a Hell's Angel who kills people? And then there's a bunch of boring shit with this girl that was the daughter of a Mexican guy who got killed. Didn't care about that much.
I didn't get that. I was watching on my phone at work, so I didn't really know what was going on there.
It was later when I think wasn't he one of the guys that was killed in '93?
Yeah, she was the daughter of one of the guys that was killed. But
Or
I was
was
like,
it the guy who-
I know.
Or was the daughter of the guy who got shotgun blasted? And it was their uncle.
It was no, I thought it was her father was one of the guys that quote unquote got Bigfoot murdered or Sasquatch murdered.
I don't know.
But again, it was like one of those things like, I just don't care. I mean, I'm fine. I don't know. I know it sucks your dad died, but I just move on. Let's get to the murders. So flash forward, right? And like I was saying, that so many people are off record, voice modified. We don't know faces and names, blah, 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 blah. But we finally get to Bigfoot Gary.
Bigfoot Gary.
Right? Bigfoot Gary.
Right before we get to him, though, I could not believe how many missing people there are there and how dangerous fucking Northern California is. I'm like, never going there ever. Nope.
I'm sure if you drive through.
I'm glad I watched Murder Mountain because, as you guys know, I buy and sell land in California. and I was about to start trying to buy and sell land in Humboldt County. I'm glad I didn't.
Oh,
Like-
yeah, dude.
like,
I'm
you
sure
act-
you would have
you
bought someone's
actually-
weed. You would have bought someone's weed land, and it would have fucking blown up and trapped some guy who would have been sued.
Terrible.
Did you actually go to the places where you buy and sell the land? Or are you
No.
just afraid something bad would happen on your land?
I'm just afraid something bad would happen, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Odie's
Somebody's
land just
using
has
someone's using your
7
land. You don't know about it. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, you
I'm
would-
sure they are.
you wouldn't
There's
be
like
out there,
700
though.
Mexicans, immigrants buried on your land. They start. It'd be sort of funny when Odie buys the land and 700 people murdered by Bigfoot start haunting him in Pittsburgh.
Although a guy that has bought 5 different parcels off me owns an auto repair shop in Humboldt County. So hopefully he's not just shipping dead bodies. He owns the land now, so it's in his name. So if he's just burying dead bodies there, that's
Hey,
on him.
I'm sure he is.
Can we sponsor like a Lions Liberty Sasquatch hunt?
Yeah. Well, that would have been Pork Fest this year, Howie, but you said you weren't
No,
going to
not
fucking go.
Porkfest. Not Porkfest. I want to let's figure out where's the most likely place, if it exists in America, where it would be, and we'll have a trip and we'll go out in the woods and we'll look.
I would
I
say
think it's the Northeast.
Eastern Oregon.
I don't think
Yeah,
we'll find
exactly.
them, but I think we'll get drunk in the woods and have a fun time.
I think one of us will shoot the other one. I think somebody will bring a Bigfoot costume and not tell the other people, and they'll get shot to death, and we'll have to bury them in one of Odie's properties.
No one wear a Bigfoot costume, but we should probably somebody
That's
should be
the only-
somebody should be carrying a weapon though.
That's the only rule. Okay, moving on. Let's
Maybe Spangle
go.
can carry a sidearm and protect us.
Oh, that's a good idea. He looks like a crunchy guy to be comfortable up there. All right, so okay, moving on. We meet Bigfoot Gary, right? People are talking about Bigfoot Gary, who is like the enforcer in the area. Like he's the guy you turn to kill people. And I guess he's also like a farmer that owns shit. And they have this weird interview with Detective Espinoza, which looks like a hidden camera video, even though the guy's just sitting there talking. And I don't understand why he was keeping a camera on the table, because
Yeah,
it's
it didn't
illegal to
make any
record
sense.
somebody without their permission anyway.
In
So he was gonna
California?
get arrested.
He
Any-
said at one
a lot of
point,
us
he's
think
like,
so.
I found I get a better conversation when I just leave the camera off to the side and let it go.
I guess that's a
Okay.
lie. All right.
So
and then
wait.
how about-
I
okay.
want to challenge your characterization of Bigfoot Gary. Like from when we learned more, I kind of feel like it's just like rumors and slander. Like they're saying he killed these Mexicans after his daughters got raped, and he had no daughters then.
We're not there yet, Howie. We're leading
All right.
into this.
But you're
So-
already saying he's a killer.
I
I
didn't
just-
say Bigfoot.
Everyone
well,
in
I
town
said
was saying it. Everyone in town was
Everybody
saying
in town was
Bigfoot
saying
Gary
it.
killed people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
I've
fuck
got
Bigfoot
a
Gary.
problem with all you people saying this. Bigfoot
Well, I
Gary's
like
probably
also.
a good guy. I will work with him.
I like how Holt gets in. He's in a car with some chick, right, who knows Bigfoot Gary, and she's like, "Hey, do you want some meth?" And he's like, "No, I'm okay." I'm like, "Oh, okay, Holt, your fucking highness, turning down free meth from Bigfoot Gary's bitch. Who are you?"
But then later on, he's like, "I couldn't sleep. I must have got a contact meth high." It's like, "No, you took the meth hit, you
Yeah,
fucking
for
liar.
sure.
You took the meth hit."
Hilarious. I would say it was so funny if he would turn down the meth and it was just super turned down the meth, quote unquote. And then he was just like, "So Bigfoot's out there, Sasquatch is out there," and he just goes and murders some people.
I must have got a contact high when I stuck my key in that bag and put it up my nose.
So this seemed odd to me. I don't know. Maybe I just don't understand people. But so when he's asking her questions and she's like, "Oh my God, this must be when my kid, like years ago, saw people murdered," and starts like crying and shit. Like, if my kid saw people murdered years ago, and someone told me like, "Oh, it might have been this," I'm like, I wouldn't be fucking crying. Like, my kid's fine. Nothing happened to them. Nothing. Like, everything's okay. Like, why would I be crying? Why would you even fucking care
I'd
about
probably
some
go to the cops.
randos that got murdered?
Well, it also just
I don't
sounds like
know.
bullshit, by the way. How the fuck did this 5-year-old kid somehow wander close enough to people on this pot farm undetected with all these booby traps and all the security? This 5-year-old wanders
Well, he
undetected
was
on this pot
below
farm.
the eye level of the fish hooks.
Oh, what the? Yeah.
They would
But he's-
probably send him in to steal weed because he's below the booby trap.
That's true. Just
And he's light. Wouldn't trigger the
But
booby
she
trap.
said that he got blood in his mouth from a shotgun blast. That's pretty fucking close. And then this 5-year-old doesn't scream, doesn't run, doesn't get noticed. He's just like cool as a cucumber. He's like, I'll just wait it out. They don't know I'm here. I'll wait till they go away. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Once again, do not listen to a goddamn thing a meth head says.
Exactly.
She probably just wanted to be like, oh, yeah. Give me some more money for information. And then it turns out it was totally different year. Like, not.
Well, he also spends a night in a hotel room with this chick. And you know, at some point, she's going to be like $50 to blow you.
You know, I didn't think about.
He spent a night in. I missed that part.
I didn't think about that before now. Like, now that I'm sure he lied about doing the meth, I think he probably banged her too.
Oh, for sure he banged her.
But no. This is important. This is important. Her face was all blurred out and shit. But sometimes they would like show her hands, and these were the gnarliest man hands I've ever seen. I'm like,
Bigfoot Gary.
I'm like, wait, are they blurring out his face? And then they kept going, and she's talking like, no, that's the woman. Like, no, those are really gross, giant man hands.
It's like on Seinfeld, she's cracking lobsters.
It was confusing because with the distorted voice, she sounded like a man.
Yeah, and then when they show you
Gary,
then they show you man hands. Like, I'm not like. You know, I'm not just like exaggerating. Like, please go back and look at it. These were,
please watch it again.
And they're not even like pretty man hands like any of us would have. You know, these are like.
Oh, I've got beautiful man hands.
These are like gross man hands.
All right, so get back into it. This is where Ghost Dancer says they wanted to stop all the violence, all like the killing between the groups, right? And the Mexican guys take advantage of the old people. By legalizing it, that's where he says the violence is worse now because of the asinine way California carried it out, especially with banking and taxes. This is true because it's still hard to bank. And the black market's 5 times more profitable. The white market is a mess, but it goes to show crushing the little people, the corporate growers benefit, etc. Oh, just one quick thing. Gary takes some guy out that worked for, Holt takes a guy out that worked for Bigfoot Gary in a car, and he makes the guy turn off the car's air conditioning and sit there and talk to him in a boiling hot car. Turn on the AC, you fucking
and the guy's
asshole.
got a mask on. He's like, I gotta take this off.
Yeah, he's like sweating in a mess. Turn the AC on, you cunt. Jesus Christ,
people
what's
to
wrong
talk.
with you?
Sweat him out.
Asshole.
Did they blur his
and
face
then,
when he took the bandana off? I forget.
Yeah, they did. And then that's where we get into the revelation that another rape out of left field, that Gary's daughter was apparently gang raped by these 3 Mexican immigrants.
False.
And Holt says if his daughter was raped and he killed them, good for him. And as Odie and I are both fathers of daughters, I think we both could probably get behind that statement. If anybody ever raped my daughter, I would go out of my way to kill them. I would be the guy in the courtroom that pulls out a gun and shoots a person as they're going
Just
to
like
jail.
is that A Time to Kill with Samuel L. Jackson?
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
I have no daughters, but I also endorse this statement.
Yeah, I would skin somebody alive. Like legitimately, I thought about it. Once you have a daughter, it's like the second she pops out, you're like, look at this beautiful thing. God, I can't. The things I would do to somebody if they ever hurt her.
Dude, if a cop shot my dog, I would kill that cop. Whether it was that day or a year later, it would happen.
I agree with that statement. I'm a support of that. All right, so then full circle back to the owner. Oh wait, no, hold on, sorry. So now Gary's wife calls, and here's Gary.
But before that, very awkward scene when Holt, or what's his name? What's the guy's last name?
Holt House, but I call him Holt.
Holt House.
Who cares?
Holt House goes up to just goes into this coffee shop. He's like, so it's a guy named Bigfoot Gary come in here. And the lady's like, yeah, he does. He's like, well, is he a nice guy? And she's like, I don't know. He's like, well, I'm going to leave you my number. And I don't want to walk up on the guy because I don't know if he's a nice guy or not. So you guys have him call me. So I guess that's how they got his number.
Connected. Yeah, it must be.
Well,
it's a small, I mean, these are insanely small towns. I'm sure everybody knows everybody.
Gary's wife calls him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I would not talk to anybody. If somebody comes up to me and is like, oh, did you know this person? Get the fuck away from me.
Why are you talking to anybody? I guess maybe Big Gary's trying to protect himself.
Especially if Big Gary was really like a murderer or something, I would have nothing to do with this. I'd be like,
fucking A. Well, I wrote that. I was
but you want to clear your name, though.
If this is true.
Clear my name? I don't have anything to do with anything.
This documentary is going to be coming out, though, saying Bigfoot Gary could be the killer. You know?
Bigfoot Gary doesn't need that kind of heat. Bigfoot Gary likes to roam the woods, wave at people, kill some Mexicans. Yeah. If you're at Holt, and this shit is true, though, I got to say that I'm not sure it is true. I think this all might be complete and utter fucking bullshit.
Might actually be a real Bigfoot, actually.
Let's hear.
It might be a real Bigfoot. But if it's true, then Holt, I got to give him credit because he is putting himself in danger here. It would be a lot easier for Bigfoot Gary. And honestly, if I'm Bigfoot Gary, watching this documentary now, should have just fucking killed him. Should have Bigfoot killed him. Give him the Squatch.
What if this is all a big put on and Northern California is totally safe and it's all a bunch of bullshit?
It's definitely not. It's not safe.
It's not safe at all, but this story could be a put on for sure. 100%.
I agree with that. I think this documentary, I got the distinct feeling that this documentary may be complete fucking bullshit. But it still was interesting enough, not enough Squatch. So we'll get back into this, right? So Gary comes back in, and Gary says that his daughter wasn't born until 2003, right? So that rape story is bullshit. So now it circles back to the owner of the farm that Holt House had worked on, and this meth head that came in and told them this crazy story, right? So the guy calls and he goes, no names, right? No names. Which again makes me think it's fake. So here's what quote unquote really happens. Old timers, bunch of old heads, high on meth because they all get methed out at harvest time, so they can.
Wait, so how did he get the number? How did he get the number of the guy who owned the farm?
The guy who he used to work there with. No.
Oh, I thought it was Gary.
No. He had been asking his friend like if he would get him in touch with the owner of the place like forever, and he finally did it.
Okay, excellent, good job, Howie, fact checking. Okay, so old timers high on meth at harvest time, he said like recreational use gets like ramped up, right? Because they're just always doing fucking meth to get this weed, these massive weed fields harvested. Sustained use, right? And at the same time, the Mexicans become more of a problem. The gangs move in and taking over the property. So the farmers needed something to keep the Mexicans in line, and they created their version of a chupacabra, which these Mexicans would recognize.
Well, this goes back to what you said at the beginning, where they were saying Mexicans were coming in and taking some of the old timers' farms.
Right.
So
they create a boogeyman.
So they're sitting around, and somebody's like, "Too bad we don't have a chupacabra." And one of the other old guys was like, "You know, we got something better. We got Sasquatch."
Sasquatch! So the question is, Sasquatch is an old Native American legend, but these guys just like culturally appropriated the Squatch and have applied it to their own purposes. So they made an example of these guys, right, by killing them and spraying their blood around on the weed leaves and not stealing any of the weed in order to make people think that there's a Squatch out there, which apparently, though, does the Squatch only kill Mexicans who are trying to take people's farms? Like, what do we... it kind of breaks down under scrutiny, let's be honest. Like, this whole application of the legend.
Well, it was like you said, it was a message killing. So it went on to say that they made sure that the chatterboxes, like the meth heads who Holt House ended up seeing come run into that house, they wanted to make sure the chatterboxes saw the dead bodies and saw them all torn up and saw that it was a Sasquatch.
But that doesn't make sense. Here's the thing.
It does.
No, it doesn't. Wait, let me explain to you my point.
If they were spreading the Sasquatch rumors before this happened, then yes.
No, hold on. This is retarded. Why would a Bigfoot attack stop? No, listen. Why would a Bigfoot attack stop ambitious drug dealers from coming in and taking over? If you're alive, right? 3 people, like having more people alive, better to fend it off, right? Having a Sasquatch that they're still coming to work for you. So what is it? Only naughty Mexicans get killed by the Sasquatch? Does everybody get killed by the Sasquatch? In which case, why would anybody come to work for you if you're going to get murdered by the Sasquatch? You'll have no help to harvest your crops.
I didn't say it was a good plan.
Better argument. Better argument. Say there are 300 Sasquatch, right? Don't want people there.
An army of Sasquatch.
Okay, well, we're humans. We've got some money to make. We got a lot of heavy artillery. So fuck them. We'll shoot all the goddamn Sasquatch. Why is that going to stop anybody?
Right. Well, that's the point. That's my point. This whole thing has No, it only makes it. They were putting in the context of the Sasquatch is supposed to scare the Mexicans. It doesn't make any sense except as a reason, as an explanation for dead Mexicans. The only way it makes sense is as an explanation for how the Mexicans got killed, not as a deterrent to anything. It's not a deterrent.
Well, it makes sense. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Brian, because it would scare away not only the Mexican, if they're trying to scare away the Mexicans who are taking the farms, they're also scaring away the Mexicans who are coming to work,
right?
And actually
the cheap labor.
Yeah, so you can't have both.
Right. It's either got to be that they created this legend with the explicit purpose of sending a message to the Mexicans: we will kill you at any point, and pretend it's Sasquatch. That makes sense, right? We can get away with it because we'll pretend it's Sasquatch and that legend is accepted by the local police. That is the only explanation that makes any sense. Like if the local police have a wanted poster with Sasquatch on their wall, then you got yourself a perfect alibi for anybody you want to kill.
The local police, like going back to the Murder Mountain documentary, in that area, like they have no control. Like they can't even like go up those mountains, and it's like you don't get called for a murder. Like it's
outgunned, outnumbered, outgunned. No, it's all just fucking ridiculous. And then at the end, by the way, the skinny hippie. I have this note: the skinny hippie jerk off trying to look woke again about racism. If the immigrants were, here's the point: if the immigrants were in fact coming in and taking over these farms and the old people, and the owners fought back, then I don't know what's the problem. Honestly, that's not racism. That's a response to a distinct threat of people taking your land, taking your business over. That's violence. So if anything, you could argue that the Sasquatch, in fact, was justified in fighting back, the quote unquote Sasquatch. Like it's not racism if somebody is actually perpetrating violence against your community.
So what about this? I don't think this is true, but it was a thought I had. Like, what if, because everyone is like savaging the land, what if the Sasquatch is like kind of like an embodiment of the land that like materializes and like protects the land? Like
it's like the Jewish golem, except made of weed.
Yeah. Just kind of like that. Like it's like the land.
That's why the Sasquatch walks so fucking funny. He's just high as hell. He's like, I gotta go protect some people. Hello.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a fun watch. It was a fun watch, though. I'm glad we watched this. It was good.
It was. I agree. It was a fun watch. I really wanted more of a Sasquatch documentary, but it was interesting, and I do like true crime in this way, and I do like true crime, especially where it's tied in to fucking monsters. Like this was like a real life X-Files episode.
I would like to watch a really good Sasquatch documentary, but I want to watch some bullshit. Maybe our listeners could key us into the best one that's out there.
Isn't
Maybe
there a
our listeners
Sasquatch
should give us each
like,
more money to
show?
make our own
Like
documentary?
Isn't there a reality TV Sasquatch Hunters show?
My buddy actually worked on that. It was bullshit. He did sound for it. My buddy Andy. He traveled all over the place. It was like searching for Bigfoot, and he's like, "Yeah, we would go every episode, sit in the woods. They'd throw a bunch of crap on the ground. We'd sit there. It was fucking bullshit. There's no Bigfoot."
What was the one that Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell were on?
I have no idea.
Know. Let me Google that.
Harry and the Hendersons?
Oh, did you guys? I didn't even saw that movie. Was any good?
Yeah, it was
show.
actually. It was touching. John
Wasn't
Lithgow.
No, it was a movie or a
movie.
TV show.
Alf was a TV show. You're confusing Alf with Harry and the Hendersons.
I don't know. I think there was a spin-off TV show, Harry and the Hendersons.
There might have been.
Alf was so good.
So great.
Hey,
I like to eat cats. Alf was also invented as a way for Hollywood people to kill Mexican immigrants. But that wasn't part of the show. They wrote that out.
It looks like it was. Was there a show, Joe Rogan Questions Everything, Bigfoot DNA episode? Was that
maybe? It? Some random Facebook user says there was a Harry and the Hendersons TV show.
Harry and the Hendersons is an American sitcom based on the film of the same name.
How many episodes did it have? 6?
72! 72!
Son of...
What was that?
I just knocked my beer into my business card holder, which is now full of beer, ruining all the business cards.
Wait a minute. You could sell those business cards as an NFT now. They're worth
should.
something.
Oh, do you guys know that meme? It's like the burning building. There's like the little girl, like kind of with that smirk on her face.
Oh,
She just made $500,000 selling an NFT of that meme.
Jesus. Hey, Bobby was saying I should create an NFT for Do Nothing, man. Maybe I should.
You should. Who's gonna buy it?
I can't believe there's hardly anything in this fucking bottle of beer, and I never knock over shit on my fucking desk. And of course, it's Guinness too, so it's everything it touched is now dark brown.
Brian, you should do like a little video. You know, like in American Psycho, Patrick Bateman talking about his business cards and stuff. You should do one and like tie in this like spilling beer on the business cards are like perfect. And like freaking out and murdering like whores or something.
You mean
Murdering
Bigfooting
whores?
whores? You mean Sasquatching some whores? That's what we should call anytime we want to kill somebody. We should just be like, you guys want to go Sasquatch some whores tonight? Fuck. All right. Well, final thoughts, gentlemen, as I clean up this beer, which I don't understand. It's there was hardly anything in it. How is it everywhere? It's everywhere. It's not everything.
That's how beer works.
God, fucking. It's on my Zippix toothpicks, by the way. Guys, check out zippixtoothpicks.com. Promo code ROAR. I'm going to pop one in right now. This is a bonus show, so I don't feel obligated to promote all of our advertising sponsors. But Zippix Toothpicks, fantastic. Promo code ROAR for 10% off. Polls to the Wall podcast. Check those guys out. And also, C.W. Booth Weich and his books, Narcolepsy and Buffalo on Main Street. Odie, any plugs for this bonus show you want to put in?
Join the Lions of Liberty Pride if you haven't already. You're probably a jerk because you're listening to this all the way through until now. You've listened until now, and you're still not into Pride. Well, you need to look yourself in the eye. Go to patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. Howie, have you got your Zippix toothpicks yet?
Nope. But I have an offer for folks though. So some of you may be in our Facebook group, some of you may be in our Discord. However, we now have a Sphinx chat, which runs on the
We call you Sphinxters. Come on and join the Sphinx chat,
which runs on the Bitcoin Lightning Network. If any of our listeners are smart enough, are as smart as me, and can set up a Bitcoin Lightning node and join the Sphinx chat Lions of Liberty group, if we have a listener that can actually do this, I will record a bonus episode for Pride content with you, talking about Bitcoin and Lightning Network type stuff. So
He will also send you a dick pic.
So far, I'm the only one in our Sphinx chat. Whereas like the Roll and Slappy show and Time on Earth have like 20 some people. It's embarrassing.
All right. Well, you heard him, Sphincters. Get in there and join Howie on Lightning Chat. And also, don't forget, Good Morning Fuckhead, the new show on the Patreon. And also, listen to Bravo and Beer, our hilarious show, which actually we're going to rename it. Rico and I were talking about this beer on I think The Boring Show is the new name.
Yeah, well, I came up with that name. With Rico's help.
It's a brilliant name. Brian, Odie, and Rico in the show.
You know the reality show with the people with all the kids, the Dugers or whatever?
Yeah, that guy just got arrested.
Yeah. Talk about that on Bravo and Beer. Or is that show not on Bravo?
Well, that's why we're changing the name.
That's why we're changing the name. We don't want to be inhibited because we're doing a lot of other shit like Am I the Asshole, Reddits, and like we don't want to just have to watch reality shows and recap them. It's fucking getting old.
I'd like to hear about Kim Kardashian dating Van Jones too.
Dating who?
Is that a
Van
fact?
Jones?
Yeah. CNN.
What? Already?
Well, you know what? Van Jones is a socialist, so that fucking dickhead better let me fuck Kim Kardashian. Done.
Yeah.
But he's
share the wealth,
both
man.
big into criminal justice reform.
And Kanye's
probably doing some
still
criminal justice dirty talk to each other.
Oh yeah.
Let's get some clemency.
Hey, do you want me to release my prisoners? And then he just comes on her boobs.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
criminal just tits. He's like, hey, criminal just tits, get over here.
Can't false him, really, can you?
All right, guys. What do you give this documentary? Pause up, pause down. I can't remember how the system works in this. Anybody remember?
Well, I know we each have 2 pauses. So is it 1 or 2 or none?
Yeah, one or 2 or none. Pause up, pause down. How we go?
Well, I feel like for the subject matter, 2 paws. I don't think we're going to find a better Sasquatch.
Wow.
I don't know.
Bold.
I'll wait. Someone can prove me wrong, but this is probably for this genre as good as it's going to get.
You think so? I hope not. Oh, God.
Have you seen a better Sasquatch documentary?
I haven't seen
I
any
not.
Sasquatch documentaries. I don't think so. I mean,
If
I
there's
thought
a
it was
good one,
pretty
you
well
would have.
done. I thought, and the more we talked about it today, I think maybe a lot of it is bullshit and sort of made up. But it was well done, good interviews, interesting, kept my attention while I was watching it work on my phone. So I'll give it 1 paw. 1 paw.
I want to change mine. I'm giving it 1 paw. I feel like if we stuck with the gay Squatch hunters,
Yes.
Oh,
It
God.
could-
Give me
it
more
could-
gay Squatch hunters.
it could have been more akin to what's it called, Tiger King, Lion King.
Yes, exactly. I thought that's what it was going to be. I tweeted out, this is the new Tiger King when I saw the gay Squatch hunters. And now I'm like, never mind.
Those
This is gonna be
guys,
true crime.
those guys need to make a documentary, and that will be
Fuck
in 2 paws.
yes. If they could get a Bigfoot
Can you get them
teleporting-
on the podcast?
I'm sure I can.
We'll try it.
I,
Come on.
I'm sure I can.
The gay couple that's
The 2 gay
hunters.
Squatch hunters that live together.
Oh, yeah, I'm
a
sure
life
you
couple.
could.
The
Of course you
life,
could.
the life couple Squatch hunters. All right. Well, I also give it 1 paw for the same reasons that you guys said. I feel that it was entertaining. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely entertaining. I was not bored watching it, but I also think that it is at least 70% total bullshit. So there you go.
Hey,
And that'll do it, folks.
One last thing. If the Squatch exists, the gay dude that says he can teleport is probably right.
There you go. Heard it from the horse's mouth. Can't argue with that logic. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me from us here at Lions of Liberty. Thank you, Howie Snowden, the godfather of the Lions of Liberty, and from, of course, John Odermatt, host of Finding Freedom, and I am Brian McWilliams from Electric Liberty Land, telling you guys, hey, if you're going to murder somebody, blame it on the Sasquatch.